Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. I've got a lot to cover on today's show. We're going to be talking about a couple of things. There's a new tour that was obviously confirmed. I did go through the FTP on the last show to give you guys some insight into what will be uh, our FTP for the next couple of years. I can go over it a little bit later on. Sorry. But the main thing is that we've got a situation with the New Zealand Test series, the tour to New Zealand, and the SA20 that will be clashing. So I'm going to go through the story with you guys. I'm going to read a story out for you guys and share a story with you to give you some insight. And then I also want to talk about something a little bit later on in the show. I've seen some quotes from AB de Villiers recently, comes from his YouTube channel, that I want to discuss as well because I think it's an important aspect of cricket and sport in general. So we're going to have a full jam-packed show today. I would like to hear you guys' comments in the comment section. We're also going to be talking a little bit about what sort of team we'll see if that SA20 does, if everything happens, if all the players do attend the test tour and miss the SA20. We're going to discuss the what sort of team we'll see if they aren't allowed to go to the New Zealand tour. So there's a lot of things that we're going to discuss on the show. So stay with me today. It's going to be an interesting one. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I want you guys to please do. Please subscribe to the channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos as well. It's very important that you do so. And also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine. It's a free subscription. This is our bread and butter, guys. This is what makes us Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is what gives us our authority. So please go ahead and download this and become a part of the family. We deal with a host of topics in this magazine. It's a longer format, easily adaptable on your phone, mobile device, of course, and your tablet, as well as your computer. So you'll get an email straight to your email inbox every single time we publish the next issue. We are working on the next issue at the moment. And it will come out closer to the end of the month. So good reading onto this one. There's also a crossword puzzle for you guys if you want to test your knowledge in cricket as well. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into today's video. I'm actually looking forward to chatting to you guys again and talking about this interesting topic. Let's get into it. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid Mohiuddin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And there's a particular story that caught my eye, of course. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of everything, let's first and foremost just start with the two tests confirmed to New Zealand. This is on our website as well. Cricket South Africa and New Zealand Cricket have confirmed the schedule for South Africa's two-match test tour of New Zealand to be played early next year. The first test gets underway from the 4th to the 5th of February at Bay Oval in Mount Managonui, Turanga. I think that's how you pronounce it. You guys can tell me how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, Munganu or whatever, before the Proteas take on the Black Caps in the second test between 13 to 17 February at Eden Park in Hamilton. A 3-day warm-up match is scheduled from 29 to 31 January in Christchurch in preparation for the series that forms part of the ICC Test World Championship 2023-25 cycle. So you guys need to understand that this is a schedule that was obviously set out by the ICC. Obviously, it's part of the WTC 2023-25 cycle. The sides last met in 2022 when South Africa came from behind to draw the two-test series 1-1. CSA Chief Executive Officer Poletsky Moseke commented, the tour of New Zealand will be an excellent opportunity for the Proteas to test themselves away from home for the first time during the new cycle of the ICC WTC. This tour confirms CSA's commitment to honoring the ICC's Future Tours program, regardless of other competing and equally compelling engagements. That's a very important statement there. It is an affirmation of our appetite for test matches, which we always take delight in playing. So from the 4th to the 8th of February is the first test, and 13 to 17 February is the second test. So CSA's stance is, of course, that these players are going to have to play. They can't miss the SA20. But there's going to be a couple of things that are going to come in here that are going to make it a bit tricky. So IOL Sport did a story on this, interviewing Mr. Polezzi as well. So I'm going to be reading this on the show right now, so that you guys can be caught up in what happened. As you can see, it was written by a friend of the channel, Zaire Adams. Protest test tour to New Zealand and SA20 set for a head-on collision. Cricket South Africa Chief Executive Polezzi Moseke has stressed that the Proteas' test tour to the New Zealand next year will under no circumstances be cancelled due to the pending clash with the Betway SA20. The New Zealand Cricket Association released their home schedule on Tuesday, which has the Proteas playing a 3-day warm-up match from 29 to 31 January in Christchurch, before 2 test matches against the Black Caps from 4 to 8 February at Bay Oval in Mount. I'm not going to pronounce it because I don't want to mess it up again. And 13-17 February at Seddon Park in Hamilton. Both test matches form part of the new World Test Championship cycle. The tour falls directly in the window that has been allocated for South Africa's premier T20 franchise tournament, Betway SA20, which ran from 10 until 12 February last year. Cricket South Africa set precedent last season when the Proteas returned home after the Sydney New Year test due to having withdrawn from the scheduled ODI series against host Australia in order for all the national team players to fulfill their franchise commitments at the start of the inaugural Betway SA20 season. The withdrawal put the Proteas' chances of automatic qualification for this year's ICC World Cup in jeopardy, which they eventually managed after securing home series wins over world champions England and the Netherlands. The Betway SA20 Season 2 fixtures are yet to be released, but it can only potentially start after the conclusion of the home New Year test against India at Newlands in Cape Town that is due to run until January the 7th. This will once again leave Cricket South Africa with a major dilemma, as the 6 Betway SA20 franchise, all affiliated to the Indian Premier League, have a commitment from Cricket South Africa that the national team players will be available for duration of the Betway SA20. That's not something that we're actually even considering currently, withdrawing from the New Zealand tour. Under no circumstances are we considering that, but as you can imagine, balancing our FTP schedule with the leagues and the shrinking international window has become quite a challenge, Moseki told independent media. Sometimes you need the wisdom of Solomon just to manage that. But yes, there's likely to be clash between SA20 and the New Zealand tour. Finding the balance from really competing interests can become a challenge. Obviously, SA20 is our baby, and like you know, I've bet my future on it, so I'm not suddenly going to allow it to crumble. Obviously, there's quite a lot of balancing acts that will need to happen. Museki was non-committal on the Proteas' possibly touring New Zealand with an understrength test side, but stressed that the greater clarity on the composition of the squad would be able to be gauged after the SA20 mini auction in September. If you recall, a few months ago, we basically drew a line in the sand and on the importance of the SA20. But on the other side, we also have some commitments to the FTP, he said. We still have a few months before we need to make any hard decisions. The auction for the SA20 is scheduled for the end of September. So based on that, then we'll obviously need to see, like, okay, what's the impact on, like, the actual players that will be going on the New Zealand tour. The Proteas' last test squad, which beat the West Indies 2-0 at home in March, featured just 3 players, Dean Elgar, Tony De Zorzi and Keegan Peterson, that were not part of the hugely successful inaugural Betway SA20 season. Test captain Temba Bavuma was not initially picked up at the auction, but was later signed by the Sunrise Eastern Cape as a replacement player where he wanted to play a role in their ultimate victorious campaign, where he went on to play. Sorry. The Proteas have previously fielded an understrength test team against Bangladesh last year at home when a group of players left early to fulfill their Indian Premier League commitments. Betway SA20 Commissioner Graham Smith was unavailable for comment as he'd currently on a flight to the United States of America to commentate at the Major League Cricket tournament. So, as you can see, in sticky waters at the moment, nothing completely confirmed. But what I want to speak about is this almost, it's almost kind of like a laid back response from our CEO, as if we can't maybe as if we can't predict which players are going to be missing out if they get auctioned. And we know that there are key players like Anrich Nokia, Kagiso Rabada that have been retained, I think. And that makes it, that's already two of our best bowlers, test bowlers out. Our player of the year, CSA player of the year, and our SA test player of the year, both won't be available if that's the case. Then you're going to look at some of the other players like Marco Janssen, who has played an integral part of our team. Gerald Coetzee will most likely be picked up in this auction. Because of his raw pace, he's become like a serious player in our team. We've got Heinrich Klaassen that will definitely be picked up in the auction, who has been our wicketkeeper for some time. Ryan Rickleton, our backup wicketkeeper as well. And then also you can have a look at Keshav Maharaj, who's our main spinner, also will probably be picked up. And then you can, if you go a little further with our opening batters, we got Aiden Markram that will definitely be picked up because he's the SEC captain and he's already been retained. And then you've also got the likes of Temba Bavuma that will probably also get a contract this time around based on his performance last time in the SEC, even though he only never really played that many matches, but he played a vital role on their journey to lifting the trophy in the end of the tournament. So that's a lot of players that we'll be missing. I don't know if I've missed anybody else. Possibly Lungi Ngidi as well, who was a backup on this test team. If I take it a little bit further and I want to go to the next generation of test players, the ones that are next in line, there's Matthew Brzezinski that will possibly be picked up because he was picked up in the last auction. Then you've got the likes of Jordan Herman, also will probably get a gig again. So even our next in line are really looking like they're going to miss out if there's no resolve for this particular tournament. So that's a lot of players that I've rattled off here. And it will give the national coach a headache going into this SA20 campaign. It will be going into the auction, of course. And I don't think we should just wait for the auction to see what happens before we start acting. I think the time to act is now. Right now is the time to figure out how we're going to sort this out, because we can't be taking test cricket lightly. And also against the previous world champions, you can't be going there and with a weakened squad, especially when our current test squad is not 100% settled already. I mean, our current test squad is also trying to find their feet and an identity. To derail them now over a T20 competition that is mainly for fun, ultimately, and entertainment, is a little bit weak for me. I don't think that this is a good move if this happens. We need to sort this out as soon as possible. We can't be going into this test series with third string players that have never played test cricket before. It's a dangerous territory that we finding ourselves in at the moment, and it's going to really sadden me if we're going to be once again prioritizing SA20 cricket or T20 cricket, competition cricket, tournament cricket over our national side. That's quite sad. Let me see what you guys have to say. Lawrence says, sticky one. We need SA20 to sustain us for the future, but vital WTC points is up for grabs. The info I got from a very credible source told me that Saka will dispute this matter as they weren't consulted. As per MOU, national and domestic contracted players through their union should have been consulted in regards to scheduling this. Didn't happen, hence Saka is taking steps to dispute the matter. Then Tabo says, I blame CSA for the schedule. They knew it would clash if they confirmed those dates of the tour. Well, it's also, I think the ICC has also got a lot to do with this as well, with regards to the scheduling, seeing that it is part of the WTC points. The players we will most likely miss. The New Zealand tour, Markram, Rickleton, Klaassen, Janssen, Rabada, yeah, and rattled them off earlier on. Harmon, Kidi, Kutsia, Temban, Tony Dezozi, if they get bought in the auction as well. That's our whole team almost, actually. It actually is our whole team. And like I mentioned, the backups as well is the problem for me, because the backups will also, the guys that are next in line will also be picked up. Like if you go through the list of our top 4-day cricketers, majority of them play all formats. So even if you want to say the next in line would possibly be Tristan Stubbs, Matthew Brzezinski, Jordan Henman, the guys that have performed well, they'll most likely be picked up as well. So we're going to be playing basically a 4-day domestic cricket team ultimately, and not necessarily a team that is 100% ready for Test cricket or have experience in it. I mean, the likes of Keegan Peterson, Zubair Hamza, most likely they will then play if that is the case. And Calvarena as well, who doesn't, who is not necessarily always a guarantee when it comes to T20 competitions, but sometimes he does get picked up. He did get picked up by the Blitz before. He did get picked up in previous tournaments. So, and I think he was picked up in the SA20 as well. So it does make it very complicated, and yeah, it's sad actually that this is going to happen. If this happens, CSA has put itself in a difficult position. Do they realize that the Proteas have the easiest WTC schedule compared to other teams? We have a chance to make it to the finals, says Ikram. People need to understand that the FTP has been set out a year or two in advance. It ain't something that just popped up 100%. So blaming CSA for this, I don't think is the right move. The FTP was written way before. The window that the SA20 is in was always going to be problematic. I said this from the beginning. And I was a bit hesitant last season already when I saw when it was being played. But then when else do you play it? You know, there aren't many other windows that you can play the SA20 in, especially that because it will clash with other tournaments from around the world. I mean, even in the time slot that we selected clashes with other tournaments too, so that we can't necessarily pick up other players that are playing in other tournaments that they already have a contract and committed to. So this SA20 will be causing a little bit of a clash between our national team and SA20, because Lawrence is right at the beginning of the show. We do need the SA20 for the money that it brings in. I think it made a profit in its first season. So imagine what it will do in the second season. So this is going to cause a little bit of a problem. But and as we know, the dates clash. But for me, in my opinion, those players must be made available to play for South Africa. That's the priority, in my opinion. I know that there are contractual agreements and everything, but your country should come first, and they should write it into the contracts. No matter how much money they're going to lose, I think that the test arena and the test cricket takes preference for me. A lot of these players are already making money all around the world as well already. It's not like they necessarily strapped for cash. And I know that might be a controversial statement that I'm making, but in my opinion, Test cricket is the most important format for this country. So many players, so many kids, so many youngsters dream to play that format, and your country is supposed to take preference over everything else when it comes to playing the sport. So, in my opinion, that's my opinion on that. Tabo Gama says, I also want to talk about the World Cup qualifiers, the downfall of the West Indies cricket. We can safely say they were lucky to avoid the qualifiers. Gaurav, it clearly shows that CSA cares about money, not international cricket. I don't think that's the case because Mr. Poletsi made it very clear that the test team is important and those players need to be made available. Now, will SA20 allow that? It's going to be up to the. They're going to have to meet up and discuss this on what's going to happen with regards to this. If it was set a year in advance, the new SA20 will come, could have done something. I don't know what they could have done really. If money is CSI's priority over Test cricket, then we are heading to the same downfall as the West Indies cricket. Gaurav, don't tell me what I must do and when I must take comments. I will take comments when I take comments, please. They could have agreed to cancel ODI against New Zealand. All players are going to be in SA20, so who will play those players who won't get selected? What's the point exactly? And that's what I said earlier on. MCC wants to reduce ODI cricket after the 2027 World Cup. I don't agree with this because ODI cricket is the second best format. They should reduce T20 cricket. I agree with you there. I also prefer the longer formats. Moseke has made it clear since last year that the SA20 is taking priority over any sort of international cricket which clashes with his baby. I think we will either pick a second team or forfeit. I don't think we will forfeit at all. Why there aren't many white people in CSI? I mean, no racism, but it shows quote. Okay, you're gonna go back with this quota stuff. Brevis and Stubbs in test team. Well, that can't happen because they're both gonna be playing in AC20 as well. So, like I mentioned earlier on, this is a problem because even the second string or the next in line players are also in the AC20. Majority of the good ones. Majority of the good T20 players that are selected are also playing next in line for the test team. So either way, we in the mud over here, and we're gonna be asking Coach Conrad to pull out a miracle over here. Lorenzo says this is not a surprise, guys. The CEO literally said that they will be prioritizing T20 cricket, hence we playing more T20s than any other format, and SA20 is the money draw. CSI focus on politics, many and money. Look at what happened to the West Indies. They're not going to the World Cup. We can talk about the West Indies on some other time. I don't really want to talk about them right now. Tabo agreed 100%. I feel we are following the same path. Who are we playing in March? So I do have the FTP over here on our website, which you can go and check out. We knew about this a long time ago. I mean, I mentioned this on a show a couple of months ago. I mentioned that this might be happening because we knew these dates already. The FTP was released way in advance. The fact that the SA20 was created was going to happen anyway. It's just that I think that they could have worked out a time in the calendar that wouldn't clash with everybody else. I mean, why not June, July, maybe? You know, that could have also been a possible opportunity for that. I know it's you can't do June, July because of the weather, which is the reason why they probably wouldn't have taken obviously a winter period. It's a stupid comment that I made now, but they could have done another date or perhaps not. It's impossible to think about this because when do you play the SA20? No matter what way you look at it, then we just can't have a SA20 if we're worried about that ultimately. For me, the only option is for them, for the international players to have an agreement with the SA20 that they can be released for international duty. It's as simple as that. That's the only option for me. If we look at any other time of the year, we can't. July, June, it's winter. Majority of the time it's going to be cold, rain. I mean, we even had snow in Joburg. Um, and anywhere else in the year, we're playing cricket. Majority of those, we only really have those 3 months off of a year. Um, so nothing. It doesn't show anything in March of a year on the FTP um, so far. So we will have to wait and see what happens over there with regards to that. So if you look at the FTP over here on the screen, we have February New Zealand and then May a tour to New Zealand and July. So there's no March on this particular FTP that was released. Let me get some more of your comments. If our best players don't go to New Zealand, our second string players won't go either. We will probably go with an SA emerging squad, which will be respecting Test cricket, in my opinion. I agree with you 100%, especially when our current Test team is also under construction, you could say. We are putting together a unit and a team, trying to let them get momentum and build character and build a cohesion. And then we just, after their second tour, we're pulling them out almost. But okay, yes, they'll get, yeah, after the second tour, we're pulling them out. They only get two test tours, 4 test matches, and then all of a sudden they are not playing again, and then they have to come back and play at a high level again. It's going to be ridiculous, in my opinion. The problem ain't who playing in March. New Zealand also got other commitments they need to adhere. Can't be in June or July because we have T20 World Cup slap bang in the middle of the next year. Yeah. September, October could have been viable. Possibly. September, October could have been viable. Um, and I don't understand. I don't understand why not. Um, I think September, October. The reason why they're not doing it September, October, because I think it clashes with our domestic season. I think that's the reason why they can't have it then. So I think we need to do a deeper dive into all the dates that are available. Um, they looked at the calendar, they looked at the schedule, and they picked what they thought was the best time period to do the SA20 in. And also remember, the last SA20 was also condensed. That was they the schedule was quite tight because I can't remember what the reason was, but the schedule is quite tight for that as well. They played a hell of a lot of games in a short period of time. And apparently they were going to stretch it out a little longer this time around. So there's two things. We have to wait till the auction and we have to also wait for the fixtures to be announced so that we know when it's going to be played. So the best option for me based on this topic is for them to change the SA20 to change its dates. That will be the best cure for this. In my opinion, because I don't see any other solution other than allowing the test players to go and play their test cricket. And they just have to take a pay cut for their SA20 for those games that they miss. September, October, November is the best window to have SA20, says Tabo. CSA earn more money than New Zealand and Bangladesh. Those teams don't say that. CSA earn more money than New Zealand and Bangladesh. Those teams don't say that we don't have fun, so we have compromise with international cricket. They can play matches with less break continuously. It's going to be a problem always because SA20 will come always. But Gaurav, what you don't understand is that CSA is in from my understanding, in debt. There was a lot of things that happened financially that put them in a difficult space with regards to finances. That's why we reduced test matches. That's why we have forced the SA20 right now, because we're desperate for money ultimately. So, from my understanding, so to say that at the moment, I don't think that that's a true statement. So CSA isn't in a very strong position currently when it comes to finances. So, yeah, this is an interesting situation that we find ourselves in. Let's see how the story develops. I'm sure this won't be the only show we'll do on this, because I think more things will unravel when it comes to the story. The story will develop more and more and more as we go along. Um, we're going to have to wait until the end of September to see what the auction is. But I think that they should sort this out before, like I said plenty of times on the show. I think they need to discuss this now already and sort this out. We can't be in a situation where players are picking a tournament over the country. I think the comment section is missing the point. We need to also look at what commitments New Zealand have during the period as mentioned in comments. It ain't just about us. Exactly. I think a lot of people are missing the point. You're right, Lawrence. This also, you have to take the ICC into account as well, because the ICC make the FTP schedule. They set the FTP schedule, and they consult with the nations, but ultimately they have the say, and they have to look at both nations and their schedules, and then find a date that's best for that match. The WTC is a ICC event. Just like we can't tell the ICC, oh no, we can't play the World Cup because we have XYZ happening then. We can't tell the ICC necessarily, oh no, we can't play this test matches every year because XYZ, because we have a SA20 tournament happening. So there's a lot of factors involved beyond just what we think. There's a lot of things behind the scenes. There is no way in my mind that I can logically or rationally believe that CSI don't want us to play test cricket. It doesn't make logical sense on why people will say, okay, we're going to prioritize the SA20 only because of money. It isn't just about the money. And I don't think that CSA have cricket in South Africa. They don't have an agenda against cricket in South Africa. They wanted to survive. They want cricket to survive in this country, because otherwise they don't. There's no organization. Cricket South Africa almost lost the Proteas as a team, so it's crazy. The failure of the Global Destination League (CSA) launch years back was the start of the financial downfall. Teams were bought and players contacted, so they had to get paid. Yes, that was the start of the downfall. Um, Definitely, I remember. I see you guys say it's frozen. Is it? Am I back again? I do see that the Wi-Fi is kicking out. I don't know what's happening with it. Am I good, guys? Just spam a one in the chat if I'm okay. If I'm back, cool. Okay, yeah. So it's there's a lot of factors that led to it. Also, CSA don't Cricket South Africa. Sorry, so the Proteas don't have a sponsor either, a main sponsor. Sponsorship deals fell apart. It's not only the Global T20 that was Global Destination League, or no, the global, what was it, the Global T20 League. Um, it's not only that was the issue. It was the Global T20 League which sparked it, like you said, Lorenzo. It was the start of the financial downfall. Then also COVID happened, which killed us a little bit, as well as the SJN, because after the SJN, a lot of sponsors pulled out. Let's just call a spade when it comes to that, because after the SJN and all of those things happened and all those talks came to light, a lot of sponsors pulled out of Cricket South Africa. And we can say that it's not related to that, and that they thought that they had their certain ideas. Look here, with the Mzansi Super League as well, and SABC going, SABC also struggling financially. Us paying SABC almost to be able to us also paying SABC, I think, to broadcast the MSL. I think that was the story that I read somewhere. You can just verify that facts, but all of that caused a major, major, major downfall for South Africa and the sport. So we have to catch up again. We have to find a way to make that money back. And CSA's solution to that was having our own league, and it worked in the first year. Let's see when they schedule the next SA20. I think that the best move for this, to avoid all of these things, is to find a window for this SA20 league to be in a different time frame. I don't think that the SA20 needs to worry about people going to support. I know they picked that window because it was in the perfect time, in the holidays for school, in the holidays for university, so people could come to the events. But if they have majority of the games and double headers maybe on weekends, they can make up those games and they can still sell out stadiums and make a lot of money from this if they change the time period. I do think that people will still go and sell out a game to watch a SA20 game, particularly because it's a T20. It's only 4 hours out of your life. Standard Bank is a massive for CSA. Reports have it that Standard Bank gave CSA something like 80 million a season. Crazy. If South Africa can win the World Cup, it can solve a lot of problems. Yes, let's hope that we can. Okay, let's move on to the next story. There's a story that I saw about AB de Villiers that I wanted to just read out to you guys and share with you. It's an important topic. It's got a lot to do with mental health and the struggles that players and professional sports people go through. Um, Tabo saying 80 million rand per season is a lot of money. Uh, if you talk in South African terms, yes, but if you compare that to the global standard, it's not a lot. So let me just get the story on quickly for you guys. I just want to read the story to you. This was on Sportskeeda. I use sleeping tablets from time to time. Able to Villiers opens up on dealing with anxiety issues before big games. South Africa batting legend Abel Villiers has admitted that he faced anxiety issues during his playing days, especially ahead of big matches. The former Proteas keeper revealed that he took sleeping tablets from time to time to deal with the stress, but advised athletes against following the routine, warning it could turn into addiction. So let me read the quotes for you, because this is relevant also because I don't know if you guys are big football fans and um, you saw recently a Deli Ali, a former Tottenham player, came out about his story, speaking about the abuse that he felt when he did it, that he the abuse that happened against him when he was younger, his difficult past and upbringing, his how he fell into the trap of into the bad side of life. I don't want to also get banned on YouTube for using certain words. I need to remember that I mustn't be trigger those warnings. Um, and he had a very difficult time, and as a result, he used sleeping pills to help him deal with the situation. And eventually, he became addicted to it. And yeah, it was a real big problem. And alcohol was also addiction. It was came in with it as well, and then he really struggled with regards to the addiction. So there are a lot of sports people that I've heard, or not only sports people, we've heard Eminem went through that as well, got addicted to sleeping pills. Um, Celebrities in general, they'll use sleeping pills to really unwind, and then they end up, um, yeah, they end up getting addicted to these pills because specifically it doesn't only help you sleep, but it also, according to what I've heard, I've never taken a sleeping pill before, but it also keeps you like relaxed and takes away anxiety as well. So let's see what Ibn Villiers had to say. I can relate to this because I had similar issues before big games, really struggling to sleep. Sleeping tablets help me fall asleep, and it can become a problem after a while because the tablet only doesn't make you sleep, it makes you feel really relaxed, takes a bit of anxiety away, and you just feel in a very good space. I just said that now. I very clearly remember the game in 2015 World Cup. It was the night before we played the West Indies, and I actually ended up scoring 100, which was very surprising. One of the best knocks of my life. But that night, I literally slept for 2 3 hours maximum. That's like me, guys. On a regular. At 3 a.m., I got the doctor over to my room, got an injection, and I just couldn't sleep. I had a stomach cramps, and it was purely based around anxiety, stress, and pressure, thinking about the next big game, which was a must win for us. I was it was just those lonely times in the hotel thinking, I have to do this again tomorrow. I have to do it again. I just never stopped, ultimately creating a bit of anxiety within myself. I also use sleeping tablets from time to time, especially before big games. Sleeping tablets can be so addictive that sometimes you start thinking that taking them when you don't really need them. That's where it becomes a problem. Luckily for me, I stabilized the last 5 to 7 years. I got a little bit better, but it's a very dangerous. I was too proud to talk about it, De Villiers says. When it happens to you, you need to communicate to someone about it. That's what I sort of got wrong during my career. This is very good advice. I was too proud to talk about it. I didn't want to show weakness to a coach or the captain, but it's important to talk, communicate to someone, and then nutrition. You've got to drink a lot of water, got to eat well and exercise. A good night's rest gives you success the next day. So you guys can go watch this episode. It is on YouTube if you want to also go a little bit more in depth there. But that's why I say mental health is very important. And I want you guys also to prioritize your mental health. There's a stigma around mental health still in the world, and I think it's something that we need to get rid of that stigma ultimately. Okay, yes, there are maybe certain people that maybe use it as an excuse or will use the hype around it to maybe look for an excuse, but that doesn't mean that you don't listen to the person when they have an issue or they want to explain something to you. The stigma needs to go because a lot of sports people and a lot of celebrities and a lot of people in general, it doesn't, you don't have to be a big public figure to be to go through difficult times mentally. So I hope you guys as well, if you guys do go through anything, if you guys are feeling down, this our daily shows, you can let me know in the live chat if you're not feeling great, and we'll try our best to cheer you up in the chat. There's a family over here at Cricket Fanatics Magazine. But it's a terrible thing to go through, and you can only imagine what a guy like Temba Bavuma went through with all the criticism that he was getting. I mean, Quentin de Kock also spoke about his mental health recently. Um, I've spoken to quite a bit of cricketers, and behind the scenes, I've spoken to them, and they've told me about the issues that they've gone through. So try to be there for a person if you know that they're going through a bad time, guys. Support each other and be there for one another, and don't let anybody feel bad about having to talk about this. Let's remove the stigma from it. Lorenzo says the Temba haters should go watch the Deli Ali interview with the legend Gary Neville. Remember when the physio gave Morne van Wyk sleeping pills instead of painkillers in 2011 World Cup? That just shows how easily accessible sleeping pills are in professional sport. Extremely easy. I mean, Deli Ali spoke about it in his interview. You can literally just go to his doctor and just ask for sleeping pills. It's the reason why I will never take it because I have problems sleeping sometimes as well. I've always had issues sleeping. I mean, I only sleep sometimes 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day sometimes. My mind's always thinking about business and work and what's coming next and what we're gonna do. So sometimes I struggle to switch off. And like me personally, I would never take that because I've heard so many stories from celebrities that I've looked up to that have abuse those things, and then they actually become addicted quite easily. So I've heard that it can be quite addictive as well. So it's quite dangerous to fall into that trap. AB was the best player at the time, and his team was doing well. Obviously, people will expect you to win, and if we won the 2015 World Cup, I don't think he would have spoken out of mental health. Um, it's an interesting angle and point, but I think this topic came around. I don't think he ever would have spoken about it um, if the topic wasn't brought forward. If something didn't remind him of it, etc. Lorenzo says, I took it once and it literally feels like a drug. I never took one again. She's hectic. Yeah. So yeah, I just want you guys to all this, yeah, support each other, be there for each other. It's important to raise these type of topics as well to let people know. Like I said, Eminem got addicted to it. He had to go to rehab for it as well. So it's something that a lot of people in the public eye face, but I think there are people in general public too that are facing these problems. I mean, Deli Ali's interview also made me think about it more, made me more aware of it because like it just made me think things differently when it comes to life in general because I was very critical of Deli Ali, and we saw that interview, that All or Nothing documentary. I think it was on Prime, with Tottenham, with Spurs, and when Jose Mourinho was the coach, and the conversation that they had in the room where he was telling him he's lazy or whatever. And then we heard the true story from his side, from Dele Alli's side, of what actually happened a couple of weeks later, or a week later, or 2 weeks later, that Jose apologized for those comments. And the documentary, and this is where some media companies and media publications are also very dangerous because they spin anything to get a headline and to tell a story. The documentary conveniently left out the part where Jose spoke and apologized to Dele Alli for saying the things that he said. They only kept in the part where Jose was calling him lazy, and all of us were. I mean, a lot of people just believed what was told to them and fed to them, and a lot of people criticized Dele Alli. A lot of people were against him. So I think it was important for him to speak up and tell his true story. I mean, I don't think anybody knew that he was in rehab. I mean, none of us knew that he was there. I mean, he literally came out a month ago, and then gave this interview almost immediately. I mean, who of us would have known that Abe de Villiers was suffering with this type of things? I mean, when we watched him walk onto that field and play the sport, it looked like nothing bothered him ever. So it just shows that the pressures of professional sport, it's in playing for your country, it's hectic. So we need to support our players, be there for them, and try to give positivity rather than negativity all the time. I'm not saying we can't criticize our players. I mean, come on, it's a professional sport. You go into that knowing that you're going to get criticism. So I'm not saying that we need to be all nice and only be nice to people all the necessarily. But you can criticize. That's our job as fans. But there's a line that we shouldn't cross. And I think with certain players, yeah, with certain players we really cross the line. Um, Jonathan Trott retired from cricket because of mental health, similar to Ben Stokes, who took a sabbatical 2 years ago as well. So it's a current problem within our system. Your thoughts on the USA T20 League? Um, it's pretty much the same as really all other leagues, in my opinion. Um, yeah, it's okay. Um, I haven't really watched any of the games live. It's quite early in the morning. Um, but I've seen some of the highlights, etc., particularly from the South African players. Um, Abai is supposed to be covering it for Cricket Fanatics magazine, so you will see that occasionally you will see when the Proteas do perform that you'll see a report on Cricket Fanatics, and then I'll chat about it over here as well. I think he was busy for the last major performance. I think he might put it together. I'll chat to him and ask him if he's going to put them all together in one report. So we'll see what he has to say. I won't get up and watch it, to be honest. It looks pretty mediocre. Exactly. I already made that call already. So I'm going to get up so early in the morning to watch another T20. I'm sick of all these T20 leagues, to be honest with you. If like I wish there was only one or two major ones, and then international cricket, because this is just all these different T20 leagues, and there's a T10 league, and in a T10 league also happening currently as well in Zimbabwe, I think. There's so many tournaments at the moment, and it's just madness. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to comment and share. And please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell for all future videos as well. Very important that you do so that we can get to that 4,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to that milestone currently. And I've been away for a while, and now we're trying to revive this channel again. So let's let's get into that. Let's help that. Uh, Help me on that journey to get there. Sorry. You can also help support this channel. We really rely on our patrons a lot to be able to invest into the what we're building over here. So please get involved with the Patreon account. You can help me with regards to getting better cameras, getting new laptops, etc. For the streaming, um, and also to keep everything up and running. I have to subscribe and pay a lot of money for to this to keep everything going. So it really will help us a lot with your donations and your help by becoming a patron today as well. But to all of you guys out there, thanks a lot for tuning in and always keeping me company on these live streams. It really keeps my mental health in a good space to come and talk to you guys. Thank you for all the support and all the time that you give to me as well on this channel to listen to me ramble and talk about a sport that we all love. um, uh, I will continuously do this and work hard to bring you guys the best content that I possibly can, and to talk about all the topics that you may have missed or you may know about already. As you can see, a lot of you guys will know about the topics already, but it's good to hear different opinions about it, and I learn from you guys too. So thanks a lot. Let's learn and grow together on this channel. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily show. Stay safe, be kind, and give you kind to one another, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace out.